Michael for a roll call.
Alderman Bob Bauman. Alderwoman Mullally Coggs. Alderwoman Mullally Coggs. Mr. Grady Crosby. Mr. Mark Flaherty. Representative Kaylin Haywood. Senator LaTanya Johnson.
Here.
Mr. Jim Cantor.
Here.
Secretary Kathy Blumenfeld. Here. Senator Devin LeMahieu.
This is Amanda for Senator LeMahieu.
Mr. Scott Mansky.
Here.
Mr. Greg Marcus.
Here.
Mayor Dennis McBride. Here. Alderman Jose Perez. Mr. Gerard Randall. Here. Representative Jesse Rodriguez. Here. Ms. Aisha Sawa. Here. Mr. Omar Sheikh.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great, thank you, and thank you all for being here in person or via video. First order of business is any discussion and the approval of the meeting minutes from January 19th, 2024, our last board meeting. Do we have any discussion? If not, I would seek a motion to approve. Do we have a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Great. Meeting minutes are approved. Next order of business, Mr. Steve Marsh for our financial report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, everyone. Today's financial update includes a review of the year-to-date income statement through January, as well as our 2024 fiscal year and forecast. We'll also review several financial exhibits pertaining to the expansion project. However, before we get into the numbers, just a quick reminder that at the June board meeting, Baker Tilly will be presenting to you the 2023 audited financial statements. Baker Tilly began their audit work earlier this week. At this time, we don't expect any significant deviations from the 2023 results that we reviewed at the January board meeting, nor do we expect to uncover any unusual audit findings, certainly more to come over the next several weeks. So let's get into the numbers and what amounts to be our first review of 2024 business. And we'll start with page 8 of your packet with column IDs A, B, C, and D at the top. This income statement compares our year-to-date budget through January with our year-to-date actual results. Starting at the bottom of the document first, you can see on line 65, column C, that net income before depreciation is better than budget by about $34,000 or 3%. A high-level scan of the document shows that overall there's not a lot of variation in year-to-date actual results relative to budget as the fiscal year has just gotten underway. Back to the top, you can see operating income, line 14, column C, is better than budget by $127K or 12%. Overall, event activity was better than budget, particularly in the meeting and convention business segment, where we actualized 5 unbudgeted Blue Sky events, which drove more top-line revenue for the month, including in line 1, event room fees, line 2, equipment rentals, and line 4, food and beverage revenue. Additionally, team events outperformed revenue expectations as we saw higher attendance at Admirals and UWM games, as well as better than budget food and beverage per caps from all 3 of our team tenants. Line 27, operating expense missed budget expectations as the district incurred more wages than expected due to increased event activity and higher than expected arena changeover volume. We'll also see some variation between budget and actual results based on month-end wage accruals, which will wash itself out in February business. Line 18, utilities came in higher than expected, as did event expense, again driven in part by more event activity. And I want to call out line 26. This line item captures software and licensing fees associated with the new frictionless security scanning equipment that will be deployed in the Baird Center. Actual annual costs have come in much less than budget, so we realized some savings in this category. Overall, line 28, net operating income is down by just about $27K. Non-operating revenues, you can see for now we're forecasting budget in all of these categories as final figures typically trail our normal accounting close process. And just a quick comment on tax revenues. In 2023, which is not represented here, we did see better than expected revenue numbers in December, which came in after the January board meeting. Those numbers helped to close out a pretty strong year in that category. Year over year, district tax revenue collections grew by over 13%. pretty remarkable. On and non-operating expenses, scrolling up and down these line items, not a lot of variation yet. Most of these are forecasted at budget for now as invoices continue to trickle in for January business. This time of year, it's not uncommon to see very little variation relative to budget in these expense categories. And that's a good segue into the next exhibit, which is on page 9 of your packet with column IDs E, F, G, and H at the top. This income statement compares our annual forecast to our annual budget. As you can see, we continue to forecast our budget for now with not even a quarter of the fiscal year complete and no unexpected material impacts to business, good or bad. Management continues to execute the budget plan that the board adopted in October and expects to see no significant deviation from those projected operating results at this time. Lots of opportunity in 2024 to improve relative to budget, as well as some risk. Management will continue to assess and pivot as necessary, and certainly will keep the board informed along the way. Moving on to page 11 of your packet, where we see the unrestricted cash projections for 2024. Again, not a lot of variation in the monthly cash inflows and outflows as these numbers are derived from budget. However, the starting balance for 2024 improved significantly due to better than expected tax revenues in the fourth quarter, which ultimately impacts to the good our year-end cash position relative to budget. The next page, page 12, is the restricted cash projection for 2024. As previously mentioned, we're already seeing better than budget numbers in this fund due to 2023 tax results. The budget ending balance for 2024 is $31.4 million. We're currently projecting to end the year at $34 million, which equates to an improvement of about $2.7 million. Certainly great news there. Both the restricted and unrestricted funds remain in a healthy state for the district. And so this board is aware, as part of management's periodic discussions with Baird, who serves as the district's fiduciary financial advisor, regarding the district's long-term strategic finance plan, we've begun exploring options on how best to allocate any excess reserves in this restricted account, including, but not limited to, the defeasance of long-term debt. As options begin to crystallize on this topic, management will bring forth any proposals to the board for their review and consideration. As for the project, let's flip to page 16, which is a quick summary of expected cash drawdowns for the rest of the project life cycle. Nothing unusual or concerning to report from this page as we near the end of the project. And page 17 provides a summary of the project budget itself, as well as the value of contracts encumbered to date. As we've discussed at prior meetings, with most of the project budget under contract, the district faces very little exposure to pricing risk. No significant changes to these project documents from our last update in January. The project remains on budget and on time for substantial completion later this month. Mr. Chairman, that is my report. With 2024 off to a great start, happy to entertain any questions.
Great job. Thank you, Steve. Any questions? Scott, do you have any questions? This is your last. Well, it's his last, I know. Once in a while, I'm funny, Marty. All right, thank you, Steve. Appreciate it and appreciate the update. Next, Marty, CEO report.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I get into my report, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank both Aichasawa, the City of Milwaukee Comptroller, and Scott Mansky, the Comptroller for the County of Milwaukee. Aicha joined us in 2020, Scott in 2018. Really want to thank you for your service, support, and commitment to the district. Both of these individuals have been real advisors to Steve and I, and outside of committee meetings and the board meetings, we have reached out to both of them numerous times over their service to the board, and the insight they've given us and the perspective they shared has really helped us be better prepared for the finance meetings, for the board meeting, and really kept us in a good place to make sure that we were doing checks with the city and county and best practices. And we truly will miss you. As you both know, these boards are open, so you are always invited to attend, and even sitting in the gallery, I will give you an access pass to come and join us for refreshments on the board side of the room. We can only hope that the people who follow you are as available, accessible, and provide as much counsel and insight as you both did. You'll be truly missed. Thank you both. On behalf of the district, behalf of the district, I'm going to present these to you. If you choose not to accept them today, we will provide them to you April, whenever, after your successors are sworn in. But just a little. It's not that expensive. But before I get into the report, I just would like to give both of you an opportunity, if you care to, just to share some thoughts and comments at your last meeting.
I'll go first, I guess. Well, thank you so much, Marty. Those are really nice words. You've probably heard me say this before. Out of the boards that I serve on as the city comptroller, I truly enjoyed sitting on this board the most. You guys are run very well. You run like a business. And I've really gotten to enjoy knowing everybody here. Of course, the first half of the term was COVID. So once we had our in-person meetings, I think we all kind of got to know each other really well. But I am living in the city, and I will be here, so I will definitely visit. And it was a pleasure working with everybody here.
First is a question for the finance director. No, I've truly appreciated this opportunity to work with this board. It's quite a mix of both people in government and people in the private industry. And seeing those two groups work together to accomplish the building of the addition is quite fantastic to see. This group, led by Marty and by his whole team of Be Bold, Be Proud, is quite an accomplishment here and is something, that this community should be very proud of. My role, as I saw, was to question the numbers and to make sure that you were on a good financial footing going into the future. And that's the point that I've taken kind of in my whole career in Milwaukee County. So I am truly appreciative of the opportunity, truly appreciative of the fact that you have accepted my comments and taken them and have actually made changes as a result of some of the comments that I have made. That doesn't always occur anywhere that you are, and so it is appreciated. And thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for the nice words. Appreciate it.
You know how restrained I have been to not include in my comments that you did not vote for the expansion? I chose not to bring that up today, just so. Oh, I didn't mean to. Anyway, moving on. Again, thank you both, and I know this is not the end of the time we'll be working with you. So moving forward, Scott, you got me a little verklempt. Last Thursday, the Milwaukee Board of Zoning Appeals, BOZA, affectionately known, unanimously approved the special use request that we had submitted, enabling us to display full motion video on our exterior video boards. We plan to commence that sometime in May, and really appreciative to the committee, to the board for seriously looking at our application and providing the support that we were so desperately seeking. Since the realignment of the Wisconsin Center District Board in 2018, the board member term limit has been set for 6 years. 2 weeks ago, both the State Assembly and Senate approved SB 616 that implements a change to the term limit, now extending it for 9 years. This change is awaiting Governor Evers' signature, which is expected to occur sometime between April 4th and April 8th. And once he's done so, I'll send out a note so everyone is aware of this change. On the corporate partnership side of our business, David Schneider, our VP of Corporate Partnerships, 2 weeks ago finalized a new agreement and an extension of the existing agreement with Pepsi for 5 additional years. On the event booking side and sales side, since the January board meeting, sales has issued 54 license agreements, 26 agreements for 24, 22 agreements for 2025, 5 agreements for 2026, and 1 for 2028. 37 meetings and convention events went definite between January 19th and last week. 21 of those events are for this year, 12 for 2025, 2 for 2026, and 2 for 2027. The sales department is already at 80% of their 2024 event goal. We now have 101 contracted indefinite events in the North Building alone through 2028. 35 event increase since this past January. In addition to these contracted indefinite events in the North Building, there are an additional 202 events holding spaces in the North Building through 2032. On the sports team tenant side, the UW-Milwaukee men's basketball team had an extended and exciting season this year, which ended this past Tuesday night with a heartbreaking loss to the Oakland Golden Grizzlies in the finals of the Horizon League postseason tournament, which was televised nationally by ESPN. The Admirals are having an outstanding season, as I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, are aware of, set a franchise record with a 19-game winning streak and are hoping for a very deep run into the playoffs. We've already begun speaking with both UWM and the Admirals about their game schedules for next season. Our third sports team tenant, the Milwaukee Wave, are in third place in the Eastern Conference of the MASL with less than a month to go in their regular season. And as they have done in the past years, we fully expect them to be in the postseason and going on to hopefully a championship. In the Miller High Life Theater, which we used, as you know, PTG for public ticketed events, the 2024 calendar year is off to a very strong start. Since the last board meeting, comedian Shane Gillis played a sold-out show on January 27th, and there are 12 additional shows booked for this year through the first part of March, with comedian Kevin Hart playing 2 dates in the Miller High Life Theater. On the expansion side, the grand opening activities for the Baird Center start on May 4th. From 1 to 4 p.m., there will be an open house for the WCD full and part-time staff and all the construction personnel for them and their families to get a sneak peek and show off the facility that they've built. It will also serve as an opportunity for us to operate the space with people inside. Thursday morning, May 16th, will be the official ribbon-cutting ceremony. Details will be forthcoming, and of course, you will all be invited to attend, so please mark that date on your calendar. At 5:30 on May 16th, we officially open up the North Building with the grand opening gala. By now, you should have all received an invitation to that event. The evening starts with a cocktail reception and the opportunity to explore the expansion up until 7 o'clock, when we will enter the ballroom for dinner, a brief program, be entertained by Idina Menzel, followed by a spectacular post-program dessert extravaganza. If you've not already done so, please respond to Michael Maxwell whether you'll be able to attend this event or not. I'm happy to report that the gala is completely sold out of the 110 tables of 10, so we'll have 1,100 people joining us as we celebrate the opening of the Baird Center expansion for the city of Milwaukee. 2 days after the gala, on Saturday, May 16th, we will open the Baird Center expansion for a free open house for the public, giving them an opportunity to experience what has been happening behind the construction fence since October of 2021. Speaking of galas, we have selected the recipient for the 2025 gala giveaway, and we will be making the official announcement of the receiving organization on March 24th. As a reminder, as we awarded last year for 2024, the recipient receives the use of the Baird Ballroom, Baird Skyview Terrace, a 3-course meal for up to 500 people, wine service, and a $15,000 audiovisual credit from CTI, our preferred AV vendor, as well as 40 man-hours of volunteer time that will be provided by members of the WCD staff. In the fall of 2023, we implemented our third employee engagement survey under the stewardship of Kane Communications. Subsequent to receiving the findings for each prior survey, the senior leadership team has developed initiatives to address employee concerns, resulting in a more positive and productive work environment. We are currently identifying the tactics in response to the 2023 survey. I'd now like to have your attention drawn to the front of the room where Kimberly Kane, President of Kane Communications, will share with you the executive summary of the 2023 Employee Engagement Survey. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you for bringing the slide deck up. It's great to be up in front of all of you once again. I see some new faces as well. And great to have the chance to talk about the progress that Wisconsin Center District has made when it comes to employee engagement and workforce satisfaction. Price Waterhouse survey in 2023 said that a large majority of employees expect their employer to build trust and to invest in employee and workplace engagement. But only 64% of employees actually feel that their employer makes an investment in workplace satisfaction. I should come over here, right? Thank you. I'm used to being in front of people, so maybe I should have a microphone on my lapel next time. I was simply saying that a PricewaterhouseCoopers survey found in 2023 that most employees expect their employer to invest in workplace engagement and satisfaction, but only about 64% actually feel that their employer invests in that. Wisconsin Center District blows those numbers out of the water, and 2 years in a row we've seen 80% of employees say that they believe Wisconsin Center District really invests in workplace engagement and trust. Just a little bit of background about Kane Communications Group, in case you don't know who we are. We're a purpose-driven public relations, marketing, and branding agency. We have offices here in Milwaukee, in Geneva, Switzerland, and we just acquired an agency in Green Bay. Our purpose statement, our mission is to elevate purpose and help companies earn trust for good. So when we talk about earning trust, it's something that we hope companies make a commitment to doing and investing in for good. Kane is a certified B Corporation. We're a member of the United Nations Global Compact, certified woman-owned business. And at DBE, we also were recently recognized by Inc. magazine as one of the fastest growing privately held companies in America. This is an important note for us to consider when we talk about investing in building employee trust. Today, it's not a nice to have. Today, it's a must-have. We all recognize that there's something called, it's moved from being an employee crisis, a talent crisis, to a talent shortage. Not just nationwide, but around the world. There is a shortage of talent, skilled talent, and Gallup did a survey not too long ago that said the cost of replacing an employee when you have turnover is typically 1/2 to 2 times that person's salary, depending on their seniority and the level of their skills. We also know the domino effect that turnover has on morale and engagement in a company. And so the steps that Wisconsin Center District is taking to invest in trust really is an investment in employee retention as well. Here's an overview of the 2023 survey. As Marty mentioned, we first started working together in 2018, soon after he stepped into the role as CEO. Our first conversation was not about employee trust and employee engagement. It was actually about public relations. And Marty said to me, we need to bring more people here into Wisconsin Center District. And I said, why do you need to bring more people here to Wisconsin Center District? And he said, we need to increase sales. And as we got into the conversation, it became clear that we needed to increase employee engagement with all of the customers who came here to Wisconsin Center District to increase sales. And you've seen over the course of the couple of years, as Marty and the team have gotten feedback on the employee survey, they have made those investments, and you've seen a wonderful increase in retention and in how employees are engaging with staff or with customers who come here. So we'll walk through a few slides related to the Wisconsin Center survey. You'll see these are the goals that we outlined for the survey. So we used these as principles as we were getting into conducting the survey. They are guidelines for us. We wanted to make sure that we were ensuring that all employees can tell event attendees about all of the venues that Wisconsin Center District owns and operates, that we're engaging all employees in actively living the Wisconsin Center District charge to be bold, be proud, and be experience obsessed. That we're building and maintaining that employer of choice culture to meet current and future staffing demands at Wisconsin Center District venues and with the convention center's expansion, and that we're ensuring changes that were put in place in response to the 2022 survey meet employee needs. So the approach we took to the survey included a focus on these key areas, and we noted trends in each of these areas. We looked closely at the demographics of our respondents, the Net Promoter Score, which we'll talk just a little bit about in a minute, the employee experience and the alignment internally with the vision, the strength of our culture, the methods of communications that are working, and then employee development and support. Here's a breakdown of the demographics of the survey. So you can see 53% of employees responded to the survey. Nationwide, if you see 25 to 50%, that's about average. So we've exceeded the number of responses to the survey. We also had more employees this year than we have in the past. So while we saw the percentage between this year and 2022 decline just a little bit, we saw more employees actually participating in the survey. You see here both full-time and part-time staff responded, and then you see the breakdown among all of the departments who participated in the survey. So let's get into the key findings. We found that respondents truly enjoy working at WCD, and they are excited about the future. The teams say they feel empowered to live the BPX values, and they are satisfied with communication from leadership. They said over and over again that WCD is an attractive employer, and they feel comfortable if they have concerns going to HR. Some of them did note they would like a hybrid or remote work option. They noted that WCD has created a more diverse and inclusive workplace. There is room, they noted, for additional diversity training. And respondents told us that they feel valued by their managers, and they identified a need to improve onboarding and career planning. And when you take a look at national surveys from CLO or from Manpower Group, that bottom note is universal in all surveys, especially as you look at the younger generation coming on. It seems that the younger generation wants a lot more clarity and a lot more direction as they're coming into the workplace, and they immediately want to start talking about promotions. So there's some pressure on all employers to talk about career planning very early in an employee's experience with you. The Net Promoter Score is considered the gold standard in terms of measuring an employee experience with an organization. It measures employees' current satisfaction, it helps predict growth over time, and it is a metric that is used across multiple industries. So the Net Promoter Score, it's a very simple question. It's unbelievable how powerful the NPS is, but it's a very simple question. And it is calculated simply by determining the percentage of promoters minus the percentage of detractors. So we started measuring the Net Promoter Score at Wisconsin Center District in 2018. Anything over 0 indicates you have more promoters than you have detractors. So I guess a 1 would be positive, right? But that means you only have about 1% of people who are championing you. So 1 may not be a satisfying number. Let's take a look at the progress that Wisconsin Center District has made over the years. All right, Luke, I might need your help with this. Oops, there we go. Oh, we skipped it. Luke, you take it. All right. So when we first measured Wisconsin Center District's Net Promoter Score, we found the NPS was an 8. Positive, but certainly not satisfying to Marty and the leadership team. The good news is they really took the research, the employee feedback that we brought to them very seriously. They invested in improving areas where employees said progress needed to be made. And you see there was a 10-point increase between 2018. We had a little pandemic in the middle there, so we got to do the next survey in 2022. And once again, Marty and the leadership team really dove into the findings, every aspect of them. to understand what they were doing well so they could do more of it, where they could improve so they could make some changes. And look at the increase between 2022 and 2023. That's about a 15-month difference between when we presented the 2022 survey and when we conducted the 2023 survey. Was a significant increase at a time when Wisconsin Center District was also adding a lot of new employees. And you see at the bottom that the largest increase was among full-time employees and among employees who were hired before March of 2019. And March of 2019 is when Wisconsin Center District launched the Be Bold, Be Proud, Be Experience Obsessed vision and initiative. So we often find when we do surveys that employees who have been with an organization for a long time, especially in government, are among the hardest to motivate and move forward. They're legacy employees. They've been there. They've survived administrations. So the fact that we saw such a significant increase among employees who were hired, they're maybe considered legacy employees, indicates that the leadership team and managers at WCD really invested. It wasn't just lip speak, really invested in initiatives to improve the numbers. So let's take a look at some of the biggest areas where employees said change was important and WCD responded. Communications was one of them. When we did the survey in 2018, we found an enormous gap in trust and in communication between leadership and employees. And one thing that Marty and the leadership team looked closely at was how much they had actually invested in communication. And I think Sarah Mayo at that time was only a part-time employee. There was no internal staff related to comms. So they took that seriously. They invested in comms. Our team had the chance to help them out quite a bit with comms. They created a number of initiatives that they ran consistently. So in 2022, we saw a significant improvement, but employees wanted more, and I'll show you a graph in just a minute. So they built an internal team, really invested again in employee communications. And we learned that today comms is not a cost, it truly is an investment. People are able to get information on their phones at a moment's notice, and they expect to know about what's happening across an organization the same way. So WCD added town hall meetings, CEO notes after board meetings, actually conducted department meetings with HR, and really put the pedal to the metal on communications, both internally and externally. And you can see, even between 2022 and where we are today, a 10 percentage point improvement in satisfaction with communications. And that includes a 38 percentage point improvement from 2018. And here's where you see just the skyrocketing employee satisfaction in that investment in communications. So in 2022, we actually added a question to the survey. The wake of the pandemic, we know that people were struggling with mental health and mental wellness. So we tapped into that to see how employees at Wisconsin Center District felt, and how they felt we were doing to respect and recognize mental health and mental wellness. In 2022, we found 51% of respondents felt WCD cared about their mental health, and you can see the breakdown between full-time and part-time. The team here invested in an employee assistance program. They invested in trainings around the employee assistance program. And I think I'll tie back to comms as well. There was a lot more information that employees were receiving about the great things happening at the Wisconsin Center District. And as a result, you saw a 15-point increase in employee satisfaction, saying that they felt WCD cared about their mental health, which was a tremendous improvement. And here's the breakdown of those numbers. And the other area that we added to the survey that was new in 2022 in the wake of the pandemic was asking about inclusion. How did people feel WCD was doing in terms of making them feel included in the organization? So our first snapshot in 2022 found that 62.2% of respondents agreed that the actions of leadership supported conscious inclusion and belonging. You see the breakdown between full and part-time. WCD launched a number of new initiatives here, including Learn Week, where they were training all staff on unconscious bias, things that culture is not a game. They expanded their recruitment resources to attract diverse candidates, and another significant increase in improvement. As a result of that, 83.1% of employees now feel that the Wisconsin Center District leadership support conscious inclusion and belonging, and you see the breakdown between full-time and part-time. Are there opportunities? There are always opportunities. So the good news is that respondents to the survey feel their managers value them, but they do identify the need for improved onboarding, career growth planning, and employee advancement. So just over 71% of respondents feel valued by their manager. That number has remained fairly consistent. It's a little bit higher today than when we tested in 2022. They want to grow their careers with WCD. That bullet point in itself is pretty exciting. Employees, they see themselves here. They want to stay here. But they say that their career path can be unclear or in a holding pattern. They say that managers manage differently, and they suggest some training for managers to establish guidelines and processes for management. And they indicate that open communication would improve relationships with their managers. So we're not just focused on getting things done. We're not on the treadmill at all times. We're actually communicating openly with each other. It looks like this. There we go. Did we get them all? All right. So those were all of these statistics related to areas of opportunity for Wisconsin Center District, and areas I know we're already talking about focusing on, getting some clarity. There we go. Here's a quick snapshot of what we call a data trend scorecard, and these were some of the key areas that we focused on in the survey. You can see the areas where we have noted improvement. The NPS score is a big one, and you can see there's an area where we have noted we need to do some work. I think as the team has invested in those recruitment resources to build a more diverse workforce, there is a sense that we need to improve what we're doing in ensuring that all backgrounds and cultures feel valued. So that number's gone down just a little bit and will be an area of focus over the course of the year. But by and large, the numbers have demonstrated significant improvement year over year on the part of Wisconsin Center District. Thank you. Do you have any questions I can answer?
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yep, sorry, Aicha.
Thank you for the great presentation, Kimberly. Is there, were these all online surveys or were they conducted like interview?
They were conducted online.
Okay. So were some of the comments that you were providing, were they like write-in comments?
Correct.
Okay, just wondering. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Latanya? Sorry, Secretary Blumenfeld, we'll go Latanya first, and then...
Okay. Any other
Thank you.
Yep,
Thank
Latanya.
you.
Kimberly, we have two more questions,
Oh,
sorry.
yes, thank you.
Hi, I'm not sure if you covered this. I couldn't exactly read the chart well because I'm driving, but in your survey, was there any questions asked about compensation or salaries regarding how they felt about that at WCD?
There were no specific questions about compensation or salary. There were some comments from employees about compensation or salary, but not a significant number. More than anything, there were part-time employees who want more hours.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Secretary Blumenfeld?
Thank you for the great presentation and so easy to follow, and that is just impressive. I just want to make a comment that is so impressive, the Net Promoter Score and just how you've been so intentional about addressing culture and workplace organization. I'm just really impressed with the results and want to say thank you.
Excellent.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Grady.
Just real quick.
Yeah.
And Kimberly, I don't know if you have this information or not, or maybe someone from the staff can help, but when you overlay the results of the survey over the years with turnover rates at the Center District, would the increase in Net Promoter Score be commensurate with I would imagine at least a stable or maybe a downward trend with regard to turnover?
Yeah, I don't have those numbers as they relate to turnover, but I'm sure staff can get them.
Sure.
Thank you, Kimberly.
right.
This is now a perfect segue to what actions we have taken in response to the prior employee engagement surveys and to ensure we continue to position the Wisconsin Center District as an employer of choice. To do this, I'd like to have our Vice President of Human Resources, Nyla Tuckson, go through an overview of the tactics we've engaged in.
All right, thank you, Marty. Good morning, everyone. So I do want to address the turnover. I'll get you that number. I did do some quick turnover numbers for last year, and we were at about 24%, which was down from some previous years, but I'll get numbers for you all so you'll have that. Thank you. All right, so I want to thank Kimberly and her team for their work on administering the engagement survey. It really is important to the Wisconsin Center District as we continue to focus our efforts on retention and recruitment, which is one of our major goals. Just a quick overview of me and when I started and the discussions that Marty and I had on his vision and goals for the WCD. So I started in June 2022, almost 2 years ago. Yay, coming from St. Louis here to Milwaukee. Love Milwaukee. Retention and recruitment were really one of the top priorities that Marty and I discussed when I came on board. Marty's mantra of making the WCD an employer of choice really resonated with me, and it was not only important to him, but it was really important to the leadership team. So jumping in, I learned over the past few years, the WCD had really made some significant strides with improving communications among staff. Benefits were reviewed, compensation were reviewed, and adjustments were made in those areas. However, there were still some inconsistencies. So in my evaluation and keeping retention and recruitment top of mind, one area that we have reviewed and made some important steps last year was in the area of compensation. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. With the expansion coming online in 2024, we had several full-time and part-time roles that we needed to fill. Several of those positions were building operations, public safety, setup, and cleaning departments, and that was just to name a few. So with our recruitment efforts, we found that in some of those roles, we were below market rate. It was important for us to offer a competitive wage, not only in recruitment of our qualified candidates, but also with our current staff. So I conducted a review of salaries within our current market, looking at other venues in the area, and also state and nationwide for those affected positions. After conducting the review, we did make some rate adjustments last year in our building trades, making us more competitive with the current market. Also rate adjustments with our setup department and cleaning department, really, again, making us competitive in that market. These rates not only apply to our starting salaries, but also were given to our current staff. So those were those larger departments where we had those significant increase in our staff. Last year, we also participated in an industry survey through the International Association of Venue Managers, IVM. So venues around the country participate in this survey, and it's categorized by convention centers, arenas, stadiums, and performing arts centers. The survey is also broken down into regions and the size of the venues. We just received those results last week. We did that survey almost 6 months ago, and they're just probably over 6 months ago, and they're just getting the results. But we will be reviewing that information as we continue to review compensation throughout all of our departments here at the WCD. So it really is important for us to offer a competitive wage. It was a topic that has been brought up, so we wanted to make sure that the board knew what we have done in that area and what we will continue to do as far as reviewing compensation with the organization. We are still moving forward in that. Also, though, gives me a chance to give you a list of things that we are also doing in relations to the engagement survey along with the compensation review. We have had several other initiatives that I feel have been instrumental in our recruitment and retention efforts, so I want to share those with you. Free parking, that is a huge benefit that we offer. And in January, we were able to offer free bus passes for those team members who take advantage of public transportation. You know, everyone doesn't drive to work, the parking was always there, and we added the bus passes, which has been a really great add for our team. As you saw in the slides with Kimberly, we implemented an EAP program that included all of our full-time and part-time staff, and also anyone living in their household. So it doesn't matter, if they're living in your household, they could take advantage of that EAP program. And that was really important to the team. We saw that in the engagement survey. So we also offered some our on-site flu clinic, which is free for staff. And last year, we offered the flu and COVID vaccine for staff. We're really excited, though. We have more initiatives coming on health, mental health, and wellness this year. So really are excited for those coming, which are forthcoming. Training and professional development, another key area for employees. So again, we did do our first Learn Week in September. We brought a speaker in who trained our team on unconscious bias and culture is not a game. And again, that stemmed out of what the employees wanted to see out of the engagement survey. Training is top priority this year, so there are additional DEI and professional development training programs that we are working on. I have a team member in my HR department, and her major focus was recruitment, but now it is also training as that came, and that has stemmed out of the engagement survey, so that is top priority this year. Last year, we also created an employee engagement manager position within my department. So that HR team member, my HR team member, her role is dedicated to creating, managing, and executing initiatives geared to attract and retain our talent within our organization. That is the focus, getting out there, talking with the team, talking with the departments continuously on that. So we're excited to add that role last year, and that is moving forward. We have fun, so team likes to have fun too, and that really keeps us connected. So we really love doing, employee appreciation lunches that we just did not too long ago. Our holiday party has been always a really, really fun time. We do those random things where we may bring in lunch or snacks. We get surveys from clients, and we get all fives. I see it all the time. So we brought in 5 balloons, and we just celebrated everybody just to understand and know we appreciate you in everything that you do. So we keep trying to find those fun things to get us connected, and we'll keep doing that as well. Look, we still have a lot of work to do. Retention is key, recruitment. We're still moving forward with that. We still have quite a few part-time jobs and jobs for this expansion opening, but we're excited about it. But I think I really feel we're moving in the right direction. We're going to continue our efforts and really keep to making this an employer choice. So thank you all. Do you have any questions for me?
Great. Just real quick, thank you so much for that
thank
report
you.
as well. In addition to the salary compensation reviews, just wondering, have you had a chance to look at the budgeted FTEs and part-time number of employees, just in comparison basis as to venues our size, and would you say that we're light, about right, heavy, where do we kind of stack up in terms of number of employees?
Number of employees for our part-time staff?
Both part and
for
full-time.
both them, part-time and full-time. So I think it just really depends on your size of the venue, how many facilities you have. We have 3 facilities here. So those are numbers that are on the survey, kind of looking at part-time and full-time numbers. I haven't really delved into that, but I will get you that answer on that, so.
Yeah, and the reason why I ask, because, human capital, as you know, is like,
Important,
the very important number one need, and just wondering just kind of how we rack and stack, especially since, our, mantra is about delivering this exceptional experience. And so just wondering how tough they're making your job.
Right. Currently, we have 116 full-time. So when I started, we were at about 78. So we had to ramp up in anticipation of the larger expansion in the facility. And we're at 268 part-timers. So that number, it fluctuates there, but we still need close to maybe 75 to 100 part-timers, and that is because of the size of the facility and bringing on more space. So when you get into that area, that increases your staffing. You know, with stadiums, it might be you need 400 associates or something of that nature. So, but I will look at where we stack up as far as our size and get you that information. So, thank you.
Senator Johnson?
First of all, I just want to say that I'm super excited to hear about the changes that we're making at the WCD and being all inclusive, such as the bus passes. I think that that's an excellent touch. I do have a question about the salaries and compensation. I know that you said that the evaluation for the compensations are ongoing. So I'm wondering if you could give a timeline as to when that will be completed for all employees, and also if you could go into detail as to who has already been evaluated and any upgrades to salaries that you've done, and who's next in the hopper to actually have the salaries updated, because we know that if individuals are being underpaid, the longer it takes us to right that ship, the longer they're going to continue to be underpaid. And I think it would go a long way in helping with the turnover. We just had our salaries reviewed at the state level because of the turnover rate. And so I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Oh, absolutely. So again, as I said, we just received that venue industry survey, which is a really important survey for us. So Marty and I will be sitting down with Marty and Steve, and we'll be going through that. And just, to me, this is ongoing as we go through, as we're recruiting and we're trying to retain employees. So the departments that we've made adjustments for, again, I mentioned the building trades due to the market. We looked at the setup and cleaning department. That was a big department, looking at the market rates there. I mean, we have looked at the roles in our sales department, some adjustments made there due to the market with new positions coming on, marketing department, finance department. So as these positions are coming through, as we're looking at market rates, we're evaluating those continuously. So we're going to look through to see where we are, where we compare. I'm not quite sure. We will get you information definitely on where we may move forward. Looking forward, I'm not sure where we're going to go, but we want to take the time to go through that, get that salary review, evaluate that information, and move forward if we need to. So it's just an ongoing process in our retaining and recruitment efforts.
So there's no set timeline to have this done. And can you also give us a number regarding how many employees, Wisconsin Center District employees, versus how many have already had their compensation upgraded? It seems like to me, every department so far that you've evaluated, you've had to make adjustments or upward adjustments because the salaries were too low. So can you share that information, please?
I can get it to you. So, yes.
Senator Johnson, there is not a definitive timeline for having assessed all of the staff's full and part-time salaries. I will say that over the past 3 years, we have looked at every position, both full and part-time. You may recall back in July of 20, I believe it was 20 or 21, it's when we made the adjustment that our minimum wage for all staff would be $15 an hour, so we made a pretty significant adjustment back then. And as Nyla has already indicated, 3 or 4 months ago, we made a significant adjustment to the hourly rate for all housekeeping positions, all setup and cleaning positions. We met with our building trades people, which are the electricians, plumbers, carpenters, painters, and made significant adjustments to their rates as well, because we were finding in recruiting open positions that we were under market, and especially with the additional manpower we needed to support the expansion, there were more attractive salaries outside. So we've adjusted that. When a position becomes available, we're always checking how does that compare competitively to be able to make sure we're recruiting the best talent. But if there is someone specifically or a workforce that you've heard from or would like to share with us, please bring it to our attention. And I'm not dancing around, there's no timeline. As we sit here today, I feel very comfortable with our existing full and part-time wages, our market rate. But we are always looking at it. That's why there's no definitive timeline, because we're always looking to make adjustments as the market requires.
With all due respect, though, Marty, I'm not going to share who came to me with that issue, because if they wanted that information shared, they would have come directly to management. So I'll just put that out there. Secondly, if there is no timeline as to when this will be done, it's hard to say that that's a priority, because priority requires timeline. And if we've already seen that the departments that you've reviewed so far were underpaid, then that means that your other departments, and the faster you can get this done, the faster that those individuals can actually receive the wages that they're entitled to. I do appreciate the fact that as these positions become available, that you are looking at, across the board market rate or what those individuals should be paid. But at the same time, that says that new individuals coming on will be paid accordingly, but the ones that are still there that haven't had their salaries looked at won't. And that's a problem.
Senator Johnson, I was not seeking to get the specific individual's name. If you'd be willing offline to share with me the job classification, I'd certainly would like to respond to you with that. I will say to you that as we have made adjustments to salaries, every position, whether it was a new hire or existing position, was adjusted so that we were not bringing people in at a higher rate than those people who are performing the similar or same function already. So I share your concern. And would welcome talking to you further about it. The fact that there is no definitive timeline, again, not to belabor it, but I believe we are at a place where all of our positions have been evaluated and those existing employees have had their salaries adjustment to be reflective of market rate.
Thank you, Senator Johnson. Are there any other questions? Thank you, Marty, and I think you guys, we will be able to get a game plan together for that. It sounds like that is a need and necessary, so thank you. Any other questions for Nyla?
All right, thank you.
Nyla, thank you. Before I bring up Mike Abrams from ICON to give his last pre-opening construction update, I did want to make one comment about something regarding the expansion. We've spoken about how inclusion has been an integral component in the design, construction, workforce, and attendee experience in the expansion. In regards to the attendee experience, we have created 2 sensory rooms in the north building, one on the 2nd floor and one on the 4th floor, which is the Baird ballroom level. We engaged Culture City, one of the preeminent experts on sensory accommodations, to advise us on how to furnish and outfit these rooms. As a condition of their involvement with the WCD, we had to commit that at least 50% of our total staff would successfully complete their sensory awareness training program. I'm proud to share with you that as of yesterday, 94%, which is 316 of all 337 full-time and part-time WCD employees, have successfully completed the sensory training program. Now, I'd like to have Mike Abrams come up to give you an update on the project. And as part of Mike's presentation, and in part in response to the Department of Administrative and Secretary Kathy Blumenfeld's question in January about women in the construction workforce, James Matthew and Alicia Doobie from Gilbane will address minority participation, RPP, and specifically women in the construction workforce. Mike?
Okay, good morning. Good to see everybody again. Marty mentioned this is our last construction update and project expansion update. Before substantial completion, we will, of course, be around for the balance of board meetings throughout the balance of the year to give sort of final and wrap-up updates. I would say overall the project, as it's sort of coming to the end here as far as construction goes. Things are going great. It's definitely out on the project site, very stressful. There's a lot of sort of last minute, sort of typical things that happen at the end of a long, very complicated, detailed project that happen as we're gearing up and finalizing and going through inspections, final inspections, life safety inspections. All the trades have to get final inspections with the city health department. So you can feel the energy on the site, but the morale definitely is and remains very high. And that's definitely a testament to our construction manager, Gilbane Smith, and the culture that they've had on the entire project throughout, a very collaborative culture with all the subcontractors and trades. So things are wrapping up nicely. Want to get into the safety metrics real quick. So our crew size has decreased as we anticipated from the end of the year through the first part of this year, down to about 240 crew members. That's going to continue to decrease over the balance of the next couple of months. As you guys remember, late fall, I believe it was in mid-November or so, we hit the 1 million work hours to date on the project. We're at about 1.26 currently, and we anticipate possibly to be in the range of 1.3 to 1.4. Again, a high level of attention has been paid to our safety program. It's been going great. Every trade has an on-site specific safety manager from the beginning of the project. It's full-time. We've really seen the results of that on this project. So I couldn't be more proud of that. I'm sure Gilbane Smith would say the same thing. We do have 2 recordable incidences from the beginning of the project through now. A few years ago, we had reported an individual on the concrete form crew injured his back, was released from the hospital, had some treatment, and then just recently, maybe 2 weeks ago or so, we had an electrician fall off a very short ladder, injured his leg. He had treatment in and out of the hospital, and he is recovering. So 2 recordables on a project that could reach 1.4 million hours of work is just incredible. So great job. I talked about the south building, so the existing building upgrades. We're still working through balance of finish upgrades. As you know, like carpeting, painting, you can see that as you came into the facility. That's been done for months. There's still some balance of meeting rooms that we have to get into and finalize carpeting. Painting continues. We've started to install new furniture around the common public areas, the pre-function areas. That started earlier this week. Public artwork installation starts in another week or two, around the 23rd of this month. And interior and exterior signage throughout the building. So what you see now is still existing. We are starting that process early this next month. So it's going to take the balance of April to upgrade the south building signage. There's a lot of sponsorship signage that's going in and around the campus on the exterior of the building, and also upgrades and installation on the north side on the expansion. We installed a new video board at the existing entrance off of Velar Phillips in Wisconsin. You can see that if you are around that intersection. It hasn't been on yet. We're still working through some programming. So it should be programmed just prior to the first event in mid-May. 2 other items that we have planned and coordinated with the event schedule. So it's getting pushed out a little bit to later in the summer, in August and September. We are upgrading the entries around the South Building ballroom entries, putting video board or meeting room schedulers, updating the aesthetics, some new lighting, really to stay consistent with what we're doing in the expansion. And we're also taking the, on the main level here in the South Building is the vending area called Conflux. We are doing something very similar to it on the second level right above it. So both levels of the building will have similar vending. And then just again, campus-wide wayfinding. The exterior of the building, we're putting in new identification signage throughout the campus along the sidewalks. We also recently, maybe a month ago, upgraded the Sky Bridge to the Hilton, put new carpet in there and some new base treatments. So a few pictures of the South. This is on the second level. You can see the new carpeting, the new refresh on the paint. What you don't see in here is furniture yet and wayfinding signage. This is ground level of the South Building, kind of looking north as you enter the main entrance. Again, new flooring, new carpeting, painting. This will start to fill up with new pre-function furniture and signage shortly. This is the second level on the south side of South Building, looking to the east. We've got some new graphic wall panels, new meeting room entries to the left. We've put in new like wood facade meeting schedulers. So this will continue to advance throughout the summer. This is Wells looking west. And we've upgraded the exterior of this elevation. We put in new glass some time ago. We've painted the exterior concrete. And then the lighting upgrades. You can see on the left side sort of a glow of lighting. We've upgraded the lumen levels based on some previous conversations with the city. And they really requested that we improve the lighting here. It was dark, especially at night, driving underneath this area. So both sides of this area will have the proper level of lighting. And you'll see a tremendous increase in that. The north expansion progress, so if you remember, construction duration was 30 months. We're at 29 and a half months. We've got 2 weeks left. So we're at 99% complete overall with installations and our timeline. And as I said, things are going well. We're in the middle of all of our city inspections. That process has gone very smooth, very collaborative. We met early with them, really mapped out the month of March as we would need inspectors crawling throughout the campus every day. And things are going smooth with that. Our substantial completion is still on schedule for the 29th of this month. Kilbourne and Velar Phillips, those streets have been partially closed for some time. Those will fully reopen, we're planning on in early April. So temperatures have to reach a certain amount so we can restripe. We've upgraded a lot of the medians. We put in new lighting along Kilbourne. We have patched a lot of the medians, like there's concrete that was existing that it wasn't in good shape. So we've tried to address everything we can in and around the streets prior to turning these streets over. We will be closing Wells down in early April, again, for probably 10 days or so for sponsorship signage installation. We're going to restripe again the road, and we've got some final kind of painting items in that street. So that'll be, once we turn Kilbourne back over will then flip back to Wells again, kind of the last road closure. Furniture install starts in early April, artwork starts in early April, systems commissioning, all the life safety systems, the AV systems, security systems, everything in order to get a building up and running and operational. We'll start in a couple of weeks, and we are hot and heavy into owner training. So we're training on all the new equipment. We've got manufacturers training that started a couple of weeks ago. We'll continue through the month of April. So there's a lot of activity that will happen in a short amount of time between substantial completion and first event. So April's going to be a very busy month, making sure that WCD is comfortable with everything that's been installed. They're trained, and they are all confident in these first couple of events in early May. Couple of pictures here. This is one of our meeting rooms on the ground level coming together. So there's divider partitions. We've got acoustical panels in these rooms. Things are looking very good in the meeting rooms. This is the collaboration stair, kind of looking south. The collaboration stair is on the left side of this photo. It's still protected with a lot of plywood. They're just starting to peel that off. In fact, they started yesterday, so they're just going to start to take all the protection off. It's all lit up. We have power. The glass rails are in. This is really a cool component of the design of the building. This is Exhibit Hall E, so this is looking north out to, through that glass is Kilbourne. This is the added on 113 or 115,000 square feet of space to get to our contiguous 300,000 square feet of exhibit hall. So things are coming along nicely on the exhibit level. Up to the top level, which is the ballroom level. This is a shot of the pre-function area along the north side of the building. We have acoustical ceilings in place. The carpeting is all down. We've got great wood entries, a lot of natural light from the north side and from the east side into the ballroom. We will have the flexibility to have blackout shades during events in the ballroom, or can raise the shades and get light through. So things are looking very well up here on ballroom. Here's another shot. You're coming up the escalators to the ballroom level. We have a lot of marble tile. You can see on the left, that white tile. Lots of great wood entry design components. What's not here and still has to get filled in over the course of the next 5-6 weeks is the furniture and the signage. And we have some really cool 3D art pieces that are going on ballroom level and into the atrium. The Baird ballroom is really coming together. This is the shot of the new carpeting. We have sort of the wave light features and baffle ceiling system. You can see they were testing one of the lights up in the upper left corner. It's completely programmable to all sorts of different lights, colors, and it's going to be just such a great, incredible space. And then out on the ballroom, or the Baird Skyview Terrace, this is just kind of shot back at the building. There's about 15,000 square feet of exterior terrace out there, snow melt system. All the glass rails are installed. The balance of the work out here really is just to complete the landscaping. We've got some trees and some plantings that go out there. Grand stairs. We have a staircase that goes street level all the way up to the ballroom. This is some progress on the graphics that are happening on that wall. That graphic panel is going to go 4 stories. It's going to be a collage of different geographical areas around Wisconsin. So That's progressing well. And this might be the last shot. This is the parking structure. There's 3 levels of parking, a little bit over 400 new parking stalls. Things are progressing nicely. They just recently cleaned and striped, and we're just kind of putting on a few finished touches on that. I'd like to play a quick 1-minute drone video to kind of see the progress of the exterior. This was about 1 week ago. Start seeing on the south side and the back side of the expansion, we've got a lot of mechanical units, but we also have our solar panel array system. All right, so before I call up Alicia and James, are there any general questions on construction, timelines, or the expansion? Yes.
Yeah, just wanted to say, I toured the site and I have seen a lot of convention centers. This expansion is amazing, so just want to say thank you to Marty and Mike and everyone who put in work to make this happen, every worker, everybody that played a part. Super, super proud of what we accomplished.
Thank you. Any more questions? Okay, so I will bring up Alicia Dupuy and James Matthew. Alicia is Gilbane's local leader, vice president of their office. James is the inclusion and community affairs specialist, so they're going to give a brief inclusion update.
Awesome. I'll do this part.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Very happy to be here and see everyone again. So I'd like to talk a bit about the business and workforce inclusion numbers, which we're very proud of. So with our minority-owned business enterprises, there's a goal of 25%, and we're achieving 25.3% to date. For women-owned business enterprises, there's a 5% goal, and as you can see, we're blowing that out of the park with 16.5%. And for disabled veteran-owned businesses, there's a 1% goal, and we're meeting that goal. So overall, there is an inclusion goal of 31%, and I'm proud to say that we're just under 43%. Workforce, just as important. So RPP with special impact areas, there's a 40% goal, and we're at 47.9%. Women, their goal is 5%, and we'll talk more about that, showing 4.5%. And disabled veteran-owned business-owned employees is a 1% goal, and we're at 1.2%. And minority participation, there's a 2% goal, and we are at 42%.
And I'd like to say I've worked on a wide variety of projects. This almost 48% of RPP is something that is, well above and beyond the goal. 40% is a hard goal to meet, and so to be at 48% is really an accomplishment. I'd like to shout out James. And then our entire subcontractor community was, committed to this from day one. Women, so Secretary Blumenfeld, you asked a question about this last time. Great question. We just celebrated Women in Construction Week. We are seeing a ton of women enter the workforce, but on the project management and the project engineering side. The trade side is still lagging way behind. Grady, you chair the Wisconsin Policy Forum. The Policy Forum did a study last year to look at the demographics of who's in construction, people of color, women, et cetera. And only 4 unions of 17 unions reported that 5% of their members are women. So just the pool itself doesn't support an easy, hitting of 5%. So we're at 4.5%. The highest apprenticeship goal, or the highest apprentices ever entering the workforce as women, has been 3.4%. So we're 1.1% above that. Feel really good about that. The 4 unions that do state that they have over 5% women in the workforce are electricians. We had 5.62%. Painters, we had 10.79. That's we on this project. So they say they have 5%. I'm reporting now what we had specifically on this project. And then heat and frost insulators, we had 21.91%, and they have 5%. So we're trying to maximize and tap those unions that do have 5%. No unions report having 10% female members. So again, feel very, very proud of the 4.5%. And I think that's it on the women. And James, I'll turn it back over to this very interesting pilot that we did.
Yes, thank you. So it's one thing to build an amazing building that we're doing here and that we can all be very proud of, but it's just as important to make sure that we're building careers and opportunities for those in our community. So one thing we were excited to do was to find opportunities to do exactly that. So we went into our community on the north and south sides of Milwaukee to recruit individuals that wanted to work on this project. And the results, we had 11 individuals sign up for our MC3 training class, all have an opportunity to work on the project, and 5 made it through the project all the way to here we are right now. So I'd like to highlight one individual, DeLorean Johnson. He's a great young man. We met on the north side of Milwaukee. He went through the training program, and he was a hardworking individual who wanted to just build a career. So he was able to do that, working with Cornerstone One. And I'm really excited to say that not only has he excelled with them, been on the project for a long time, but he's actually transitioned to a project here in Milwaukee on the Northwestern Mutual North Office Modernization Project.
And that's something, again, some of this is the personal touch. So James was on this project. As we started to mobilize on Northwestern Mutual, he knew that bringing someone along with to kind of continue that career growth was something that took a, kind of the individual touch. The other thing that we don't mention here is that this pilot, when we talk about it being the first of its kind, had funding from both Employ Milwaukee through ARPA funds, as well as partnership with WRTP Big Step. So Employ Milwaukee helped with the stipends, the $20 an hour that James was talking about. WRTP did the training to get DeLorean and these other folks, workforce ready. So working, within the agencies that are focused on this. This is not just a Gilbane or Gilbane-Smith thing or a Wisconsin Center District thing. This is a collective, kind of a collective initiative.
So here I just would like to highlight the sessions. We came out of COVID, but we understood that we had to do everything we could to reach the community. So on the business inclusion side, we had 5 information sessions. Here's an example of a flyer we did, and we were able to reach out to hundreds of businesses and hundreds of diverse firms that ultimately had an opportunity to work on this project. So here you'll see some of the outreach events that we've done throughout the project. Here on the left, you'll see the Building Advantage Career Fair, which we were able to get in front of over 1,000 young people and inform them and their families of opportunities, not only in the trades, but this project and in Wisconsin in general. You'll see on your right, the Milwaukee Urban League Workforce event, which we were able to be part of and which was very chronicled in that moment. And here you'll see some of the outreach efforts that we did. So we were at one of my favorite barbershops, G's Barbershop on the north side of Milwaukee, where we were literally there for hours to recruit individuals. And we were also on the south side at the MATC there to do a workforce outreach event to recruit specifically for this project.
And specifically for the MC3 pilot
For the
as well.
MC3
Yep,
pilot.
Yep. And then, other things that we're doing, because the Policy Forum study showed us that we have more people leaving the trades because of age, retirement, et cetera, than coming into the trades. And so one of the most important things that we can do is provide exposure opportunities for people to understand what opportunities are in the trades, the family-sustaining wages they provide. This is a picture from Women in Construction Week 2 years ago. We partnered with Milwaukee Academy of Science and brought about a dozen high school sophomore, juniors, and seniors here. Walked the site before there was anything to see, but, as Sarah Mayo could attest to, they are interested, they are asking questions. This may not be something that they go into right away. In fact, WRTP would tell you that the average age of entry into the trades is closer between 25 and 28 years old. Some people go to a 2-year college, a 4-year college, decide this isn't for them, but then they come back and they think, gosh, I remember seeing a woman electrician. That's something that might be interesting to me. So coming back to something that you were exposed to early on is really important. And then, very similarly, we have, an ACE mentor program here in Milwaukee that focuses on architecture, construction, and engineering, primarily for populations that would not otherwise understand what the opportunities in those trades are. Most of these kids will go on to 2-year or 4-year colleges. Many, though, go directly into the trades. And so this was something that we did where we had about 90 students on site, 10 different stations where they actually got to use power tools, work on cement finishing, et cetera, to give them hands-on activities or exposure into the trades. And that is a wrap, and we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions for Alicia or James?
I just want to say thank you for the deeper dive into that, and I appreciate all the work that is being done. 2024 is the year of the worker, and shining a light on women in the trades, I think, is so important. And you hit the nail on the head. When people can see what it looks like, they see the woman electrician, and bringing the youth in, early to create that vision of what they might want to be in the future, I think is so important. So I appreciate the extra work you did on this.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's rewarding too. I mean, you come off the job site that day, and it's different than a typical day. I mean, you're excited about the future.
Yeah. I was at a workforce training site just this week, and when we walked in, there were mannequins of men and women, all of different professions.
Were you at McKenzie?
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
my gosh, it's
and
the
it
best.
was just breathtaking
Yeah.
to see. Who wouldn't want to be part of that?
I know.
And so I'm just really excited about what the future holds for women in the trades.
Thank you.
Marty?
Thanks, Grady. I'd just like to share with the board that we had made a commitment when we were sharing with you our desire to move this project, and that we were going to set very lofty goals, impose upon ourselves, and we're committed to achieving, if not beating them. And I would say early on, long before groundbreaking in working with Gilbane and Smith, not that we knew that there was going to be a problem, but it certainly became apparent that these numbers weren't just going to happen. And for the past 4 years, we've been meeting, I think, every month with Gilbane, with James, with Alicia, taking our pulse. And we have these numbers that were shared today because Gilbane and C.D. Smith have been on top of it for 4 years. They've been on top of their subs for 4 years. This was not an easy lift, but it's one that I am so proud that we were a part of. And as far as credentials and recommendations for organizations to do projects that you are aware of, I can't imagine anyone could do this lift other than the team that we had here. And I just truly appreciate your efforts to achieve what we had only really hoped we could do. So thank you for that.
We appreciate that. It's been a true partnership. I mean, there's, as you know, we've done a lot together.
Great. Any other questions for Alicia or James? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I saw it on one of Mike's slides, definitely more than a building. We've really created some impact, and we all should be proud of that. And I think it's because of the intentionality that you talked about that we made that happen. And I would just like to point out, it wasn't just the trades, but on professional services as well.
Yeah,
Marty, you had something else to add?
The only thing I'd like to say, Mr. Vice Chairman, is that concludes the CEO report. I turn the floor over to you.
Great, thanks. In the absence of Chairman Cantor, I'll bring us in for landing. In your board packages, page 21, you have future board meeting dates. Ask that you would note those and govern yourselves accordingly as we move on with the remainder of this year. And if there are any other items that you would like to see on our board agendas, please bring that up to Chairman Cantor, Marty, or myself. We'll be happy to accommodate where possible. Any other thing for the good of the order? If there's nothing else, it would be appropriate to entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Any objection? Thanks, everyone. We stand adjourned.